I can't even begin to quantify the depth or the weight of the growth that God has produced in my life as a result of my experience in this role. I'm a very sentimental person, and I wanted to know that I had taken the time to say a proper goodbye to something that has meant so much to me over so many years. So today we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. You're going to get a tour of the horror and also the glory that is the FBC Kids storage room, and I'm going to try to hold it together as we reminisce over whatever we find in here. Oh my goodness, this is every single poster that I ever made for Thursday Night Live. I told you guys I was sentimental, like I can't throw this stuff away. Thursday Night Live was kind of like a junior youth program that we used to run twice a month for grade 4 to 6 students. So when I first started my job, it was by far my favorite thing that I got to do because I could use my creativity to craft these entire evenings around a single theme. But actually, I think the most important lesson that I learned through TNL came in 2015 when I decided to end it. So many people loved the program, myself included, but when I asked myself the question, where do I most want kids and families in this ministry to be? Like if I could pick one thing that we do that everyone participated in, I realized that the answer should actually be Sunday mornings, because Sunday mornings is when kids can be in small groups with committed leaders who are there every week to disciple them relationally. And it's also where whole families could get plugged into a community that would help them all grow in their faith. And so in 2015, I made that hard call to cut this beloved program so that I could focus more time and energy and more resources on improving the Sunday morning experience. And as hard as it was, I think that strategic decision was fundamental in bringing FBC Kids to where it is today. Okay, all right, okay, so let's move this ladder. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right. Okay, what's up here? Ooh, these are fun. So these paintbrushes are from one of the very first sets that we designed for the FBC Kids large group space. We started decorating our elementary large group space to match the monthly theme in the fall of 2014. So the goal was to build irresistible environments that kids loved coming back to every week. There's this great Mr. Rogers quote that has been circulated a lot recently that really sums this one up for me. He said, "Try your best to make goodness attractive." And that has always been my desire with the fun sets and the different things that we do at FBC Kids, is we want to show kids that goodness really is attractive, that the love of God is attractive. And one way that we can do that is by literally creating attractive spaces that kids love to be in. This is my favorite shelf up here. This is all the Christmas stuff. Giant candy cane. Oh, this is the singing Christmas tree hat that Ryan wore in the very first Jingle Jam that we ever did. Let's see if it still works. It does! Awesome. I introduced Jingle Jam to FBC in 2014, and it was a nightmare to put together, but it was totally worth it because it was so well received and it was the start of something incredible. For me, it was such a joy to see how God used our family experiences to reach more and more people and families over time, not just from our church, but also from our community. There was nothing more exciting than meeting a new family on a Sunday morning that had just been to an FX on the weekend. That was always a passion of mine with the FXs. I wanted to create a shared experience for kids and their parents, but also for people who regularly attended church and people who didn't. And Jingle Jam and Spring FX were that place where all of these different people could come together in one spot and have a great time, all while we got to deliver the gospel message in a super engaging way. Okay, let's get this ladder out of here. We have down here. I don't even know why we have this. This is an extra small group carpet. We always keep a couple extras around because you never know when you're gonna need to split a small group. But if you're going to split one, you're gonna need an extra carpet. Introducing small group carpets into our ministry was a strategic choice on multiple levels. It was in the fall of 2016, and we'd been experiencing significant growth in our programs. So needing to come up with some space-saving solutions, I realized that eliminating the tables and chairs would actually create a lot more small group space that could double as large group space. So it was a practical choice. The other reason why carpets were strategic was because they helped us move away from the sort of classic Sunday school model. I didn't want kids to feel like they were getting up on a Sunday morning to go to school for a 6th day of the week. I wanted them to love coming to church, and I knew that relationships and environment were a huge part of that equation. I wanted our groups to feel more like circles than rows, and the carpets were central to bringing kids and leaders closer together in a way that felt relational rather than simply educational. Hoodies? I don't even know why these are up here. This should be downstairs. But look at that logo, though. This logo holds a pretty special place in my heart. I designed the FBC Kids logo in 2014, and this was really my first experience with branding. And in fact, I'd say it was the first real cohesive branding strategy that I'd seen happen at FBC. I rolled out a lot of changes in 2014, and one was introducing this logo. I plastered it everywhere, the most notable place, of course, being directly on the volunteers. We had t-shirts at the time, now we also have hoodies. But the point was to make FBC Kids a known entity in the church, and for people to be able to look at someone and know, hey, like, that's a volunteer. I wanted our ministry to have an identity, and for every volunteer to feel a part of a team that was so much greater than the sum of its parts. I think what happened was that the church started to see us. The t-shirts actually drew attention to the incredible things that God was doing, that we weren't just babysitting a couple of kids in a small room in the back corner. We were this huge, diverse team spread out all over the church, discipling kids every week with passion and intention. That's the wrapping paper. Giant bird. If you need one of those, we've got one. We have so many old curriculum posters. We used to get one of these every month, and I liked them. They're fun, they're clever. Joseph's 11. These are from the Orange curriculum. The Orange curriculum and strategy was introduced at FBC the year before I came on staff, and I'm so thankful for that. When I started, I didn't know anything about children's ministry, and I certainly wasn't interested in researching curriculums or making any big changes like that. Honestly, I feel like the first 3 years of my job, I was just trying to survive and get my feet under me. And then everything changed in the spring of 2014. I had this big turning point when I went to the Orange Conference in Atlanta for the first time, and I really began learning under leaders like Reggie Joyner and Kristen Ivey and the whole Orange team. It opened up my eyes to a whole new way of thinking about family ministry and my role as a leader in this organization. I know that leadership is one of my God-given giftings, but I feel like being steeped in the Orange philosophy has taken my leadership and my ability to cast vision and strategize to a whole new level. I think so many of the successes that I've had and so many positive changes that I've implemented has been because of what I've learned from Orange. And honestly, this has not only been true of my ministry, but what I've learned through Orange conferences that I've attended, the books I've read, the resources that Orange has provided over the years. These have impacted me on a very deep personal level, who I am as a leader, as a communicator, and as an individual. And I can't even begin to express my gratitude for that. So we've got stuffed animals for you. These bags are all different colors of paper chains. Like, I'm serious, you guys. We've got every kind of paper chain. We've got yellow paper chains, orange paper chains, purple paper chains. If you need paper chains, we've got them. So the paper chains and honestly everything in this room represents thousands of volunteer hours. I mean, if I had to make all these paper chains on my own, it would literally be the only thing that I had accomplished in my entire 8.5 years at FBC. The truth is that FBC Kids is not what it is today because of me. Every meaningful piece of history that exists in this room and in this church is because there have been committed, devoted, rock star volunteers who have sacrificed so much to advance the gospel in this community. I could not have done any of this without the team that I had around me, from small group leaders to check-in volunteers to nursery workers. I mean, the bin prep team, the large group hosts, to coaches and directors, like all the people even behind the scenes who get it all done. These are the people who have made FBC Kids what it is. So if you have been a part of this team in any capacity in the past 8.5 years, to you I want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of my journey. Thank you for investing in the next generation. Thank you for answering the call and allowing God to use your gifts to impact others. To the church, I would say thank you for believing in me. Thank you for embracing the vision God gave me for FBC Kids. And thank you for investing in me. Thank you for platforming me and helping to prepare me for whatever God does in this next season of my life. In the Greek language, there's this word kairos that describes time in terms of divinely opportune moments. For me, my time at FBC Kids has been just that, divinely opportune. God's fingerprints have been all over this from the moment I signed on to the moment I accepted in my heart that it was time to move on. I'm so proud of what has been accomplished in the span of this Kairos moment, but above all, I attribute all of it to my gracious Heavenly Father who granted me the gift of this time, the gift of this team to lead, the gift of these kids to disciple and advocate for, and the gift of this ministry to champion. Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us, to Him be the glory. Well, let's see what we have over here. We've got some rocket ships. We've got an Oscar over here. There's also a giant leaf.